Crime in America.
Who would ever think that you're going to deal with a murder in your own family?
A problem that goes beyond just a person breaking a law.
It's a cancer in our industry.
Its causes can be a combination of issues woven amongst each other for generations, and they won't be solved overnight.
It just kept happening, and I was like, okay, I need to do something.
In many places, the pandemic has added another layer. This week, a look at unique ways that people are taking on the complex issue of crime and keeping their communities safe.
I won't let this case go cold.
This is The Race. Welcome to The Race. I'm Chris Stewart. A dark truth to 2020 is that it was a deadly year, and we're not just talking about COVID-19. Homicides were up at least 25% nationwide compared to the year before. But here in Baltimore, those who are closest to the issue say you have to look beyond the numbers because the problem goes much deeper than just statistics.
It's not all over the world that peace is not a default. America is a place where peace is not a default.
In some places, it can be easy to think this is so common. It's just part of life.
So when you just look at a number of murders, you can problematize people. You can problematize Baltimoreans, and you can ignore this whole system that is causing this number that you see.
The murder of a 15-year-old in this Baltimore alley is the kind of loss that fuels Erica Bridgeford and Jakia Jones. They both have lost people to this kind of violence.
In 2004, my little cousin's father got murdered. So it just kept happening, and I was like, okay, I need to do something.
Their group organizes citywide ceasefires in hopes of stopping the violence Baltimore knows all too well.
The idea of using collective consciousness to just raise Baltimore's vibration.
The cause of crime is complicated.
Joblessness and homelessness and food insecurity and education, all of those things are prevalent in Black and brown communities, which tells you that there's a system in place that is violently attacking a particular group of people and making these kinds of things show up over and over again in cities all across America.
But they believe at least part of the answer can be found here.
This is the Baltimore Community Mediation Center.
People can really come and talk about everything. And so neighbor disputes, landlord-tenant, baby mama drama.
A space where people can speak their minds safely.
There's this myth that, in Baltimore, all of the violence is happening because of drugs, right? And so I was looking at this research that really showed the reasons that people end up getting killed. And drug disputes is definitely a part of it, but by and large, most of it is misunderstandings and conflicts that people couldn't resolve.
It's not a big city problem. It's not a red or blue problem. It really is an American problem.
Across the country, crime is down overall in the pandemic, with offenses like shoplifting and burglary happening less often. But when crime data analyst Jeff Asher looked at preliminary crime data from more than 70 cities nationwide, he saw a darker reality.
Last year, we had an enormous increase in murder, somewhere likely in the 25 to 30% range, if not even higher. By far the largest one-year increase in murder that we've ever seen.
2021 could be even worse. Right now, murders are up more than 12% on top of last year's rise.
Racism is already an epidemic, right? Oppression is already an epidemic. So violence has already been an epidemic. And so then when you put a global pandemic on top of those things, absolutely you're going to see it. Right.
Too often we've tried to police our way out of all of our problems, and we've seen that that simply doesn't work.
In Baltimore, City Council member Zeke Cohen is leading a first-of-its-kind effort to change the thinking around violence.
Librarians are, at their heart, people who want to connect people to information, access, and resources.
City librarians are going through special training to learn de-escalation tactics and other skills to understand the trauma of those who may be struggling with issues that can lead to crime.
And I think the more we can build their toolkit and their capacity to help respond appropriately to situations that arise in our community, the better partner we are for the city to reduce crime and other issues.
The goal is to train all city employees with the hopes other cities will take the same approach.
We're acknowledging that what has happened to people is wrong, it's abnormal, we need to be able to discuss it, And then we need to be able to give folks the tools and vocabulary and language to help heal.
Because in communities where the number of murders can shine a harsh light, those working to create peace say the focus needs to be on what everyone can do to fix the problem.
Because if we're all going, what are they going to do? You forget that you are the they that you're talking about. And the answer is always looking inside of yourself to say, that's a good question. What can I do about it?
I'm Alexa Liacco. Is crime really on the rise in the U.S.? A preliminary report from the FBI paints a potentially deceptive picture. Overall, crime rose 3% from 2019 to 2020. A record-breaking 25% increase in murders fueled that rise, outweighing a decline in all other violent crimes. This FBI data suggests the increase in murders isn't random or widespread. It's concentrated in cities like New York and Chicago, where gun violence has long been an issue. But still, context is key. So-called big city murders are down by about half compared to the early 90s. But what's behind the increase? Experts say two factors are pandemic-related disruptions and a rise in gun violence. Gun violence deaths rose by 4,000 from 2019 to 2020. But we'll know more when the FBI releases its full report of crime stats next month. For The Race, I'm Alexa Liacco.
A family is growing desperate for answers after a brutal cold case murder. They're pushed to turn up clues in hopes of finding closure. You're watching The Race.